Yeah, man. Did you see those rumors last night? Yeah, like midnight. They were saying that Lewis Hamilton's joined Ferrari. I mean, this happened like 6 months ago. I don't think it'll actually happen. But you never know. You never know. Scroll through the internet here, but yeah, it's crazy. That's right. You read the video title, you read the thumbnail. I'm sure so many of you have already seen the news, but I had to react. I know I said I was going to wait till the official announcement, but the fact of the matter is I've been up since 7:30 a.m. and I had already missed the initial kind of news report. But last night, as I said at the beginning, there were rumors here in the U.S. I'm in the U.S. of A, by the way. There were rumors that Lewis Hamilton was going to join Ferrari in 2025. And I laughed it off because this literally happened over last summer when Lewis Hamilton was in his contract negotiations with Mercedes. I was like, there's no way that's going to happen. You know, we've seen this happen before. And that's not the only time it's happened. Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari being linked together. So I laughed it off and I was like, okay, announcement this week, sure. You know, by this time next week, I'm going to be sitting at home and Lewis Hamilton's still going to be in Mercedes. In fact, he might have even signed an extension with Mercedes. I don't think it's going to happen. I was very wrong. So overnight here in the U.S., about 4 a.m., Sky Sports starts reporting on it. The Italian press, the Spanish press had already been reporting on it for a couple of hours, but then it goes to Sky News in Britain. And that was like, okay, like, all right, Sky Sports is reporting on this. This is happening, and it's snowballed ever so much. Mercedes had a team meeting a couple of hours ago in which they informed the team that Lewis Hamilton is leaving after the 2024 season. He's gone. And it's sending shockwaves, as it should, through the Formula One world. It's mind-blowing. It truly is. This is one of the biggest moves, I want to say, in F1 history. Obviously Ferrari, the history, the brand, the name, the car, everything about Ferrari is iconic. They've been, what is this, year 17 without a championship. They've been looking for that champion. They've tried numerous drivers. They've tried numerous ways, and they've fallen short every time. And now they've swung for the fences on this one. They are going for 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton to step into their car. And this, I'm going to explain to you why this is happening, in my opinion, for both sides. On the Ferrari side of things, as I just said, you haven't won a title in 17 years. You're the most successful team in Formula One history, and you're on a long title drought. Now, this is not the first time Ferrari has been on a long title drought. Remember what happened before Schumacher got there and won his 5 championships there? They were on a long kind of, drought there. I can't remember how long that drought was, but it had been 15, 20 years, about the same time period. And they're almost in desperate need of a championship, it feels like, as I said, with the history and all that. But they've kind of become not because they suck. It's not like they're running 8th through 10th in the constructors. They've still won races since that 2007 championship with Kimi Räikkönen. They've competed for championships, but they're the laughingstock in terms of they are Ferrari. They are the expectation. They are supposed to win championships, but they've fallen short for more than a decade and a half. Something's got to change. They've got to try something else. And that's what they're doing here. And going for Lewis Hamilton is the biggest possible name you can get right now. As I said, 7-time champion, statistically the greatest of all time. And here's why on the Lewis Hamilton side of things, you do this. Think about where you are in your career. Lewis Hamilton is near the end of his career. That's just a fact. He's in his late 30s. The peak of his career is dwindling down, but he is still on top of his game. He is still getting podiums in a car that, is not that great. He was still winning championships less than 3-4 years ago. But since the new regulations, Mercedes just hasn't got it right. And ultimately, I guess Lewis Hamilton, I don't know if he just doesn't believe in it, but before I start talking about him and Mercedes, I want to talk about him and Ferrari. I truly think that Lewis Hamilton believes, and I think this is partially true as well. If Lewis Hamilton can bring Ferrari back to championship glory, he can tick so many boxes, check so many boxes. Check, Ferrari back to championship glory. Check, becoming the only driver in F1 history to win 8 championships. And then another check would be winning Formula One World Championship with 3 different teams. That would set him apart in terms of the GOAT debate. You look at the GOAT debate, Fangio, Senna, Schumacher, Hamilton. You can make arguments each in every way. If you look at the modern GOAT debate with Schumacher versus Hamilton, you can compare the stats and whatnot. They have something in common, and that is they have 7 world championships, and they did it with separate teams. Remember, Schumacher won with Benetton and Ferrari. Hamilton won 1 with McLaren. He's won 6 with Mercedes. If Hamilton can win with Ferrari, that is, his legacy has already been defined. He's one of the greatest drivers of all time, arguably the greatest driver of all time. If he can win one with Ferrari late in his career, leave the team that he has had the most success with, that's a different level of legacy for Lewis Hamilton. I can't even explain it if it were to actually happen. That would be one of the biggest things, not just in Formula One, in sports, if you ask me. To go from the team that you've been loyal to for so long, had so much success with, to leave for the most historic team in Formula One, and to bring them back to championship glory, to do something that has not been done there in over a decade and a half, that would be another level of another legacy to add on to your legacy. And also to do something that we've seen a lot of F1 legends fail at. Since that Kimi Raikkonen championship in 2007, there's been some great drivers in Ferrari cars. Fernando Alonso, he couldn't do it. Kimi Raikkonen, his second round at Ferrari, he couldn't do it. Sebastian Vettel, he couldn't do it. That's a 4-time champion, a 2-time champion, and an F1 single-time champion. All could not do it. If Lewis Hamilton can do it, that would just be genuinely insane. The headlines would go wild. Lewis Hamilton would be alone in the F1 world title book, but it would add another level to his already iconic and very impactful legacy. As for him and Mercedes, man, it's been quite the run, obviously. 6 championships, tons of wins, tons of podiums. I don't have the exact number. It's got to be over 75 wins. It's got to be over, oh my God, hundreds of podiums. But obviously a very successful run, but quite the disappointing ending, I would say. He's gone winless the last 2 seasons with Mercedes, and it's very disappointing. That's what I got to say. Obviously, it could have been worse. You could argue, but it could have been better. I don't know if he just lost faith in the team or what, but Mercedes just hasn't been performing to their normal standard for the past decade, and losing the last 2 years, not just losing, but, going winless as a team last year, only having 1 win in 2022, and it came from George Russell. They've just not hit these new regulations, and Hamilton moving to Ferrari in 2025, yeah, that's still within this regulation set, but in 2026 for the reset, if Ferrari can hit that, oh my, that's going to be something. And now we got to talk about our newest teammate pairing, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. That is going to be quite the duo. 2 very fast drivers. Obviously, Hamilton has won championships. He's won everything you can possibly win. He's been the number 1 driver at whatever team he's been to. Yeah, I know he's had, inter-team battles with Fernando Alonso, with Nico Rosberg, but the fact of the matter is that he has been the most successful driver at each of his teams. Leclerc is going to be put in a position he has not been put in his career yet. Well, I guess with Vettel, but that was like 1 year, so do we really count that? Point being, Leclerc has been Ferrari's golden boy the past few years, ever since they signed him, really. He has been the guy that he sets the standard at Ferrari. Everyone loves him. He's a quick driver, but obviously he has not won the championship yet, but he has won a handful of races. He's won a ton of poles because he is an outstanding single-lap qualifier. He's great in the races too, but his qualifying is his strength. I'm curious to see how that teammate dynamic works because of the reasons I just listed, because Hamilton's always been a number one. But Leclerc, he's not gonna roll over and be a number two driver, I think. So I'm very curious to see how that teammate dynamic works. But the official announcement is expected to be 7 p.m. GMT, British time, which is 1 p.m. over here in the States, and I got something going on at 1 p.m. But if I can, move some things around, then I could potentially get back here for the announcement. We'll talk about the official announcement, the statements then, but those are my initial thoughts on Lewis Hamilton joining Ferrari in 2025. I can't believe this is happening. This is one of the biggest Formula One stories. This is the biggest story of 2024. This is the biggest story of 2025. Lewis Hamilton. It's going to be an awkward year in 2024 for Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes and for Carlos Sainz at Ferrari. I haven't even talked about Carlos Sainz. The only guy who was not Red Bull to win in 2023 is losing a seat. The irony. But I think Carlos Sainz will find a seat wherever it may be. He's been linked to Audi for years now. Maybe he'll actually go to Audi. I'm not 100% sure. I think we're going to talk about Sainz more in the next video, but mind-blowing stuff here. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. As I said, we'll talk about it more once the official announcement is made. Lewis Hamilton, Ferrari, it's happening.